The purpose of people, essentially, is a pretty complicated and deep topic in Judaism, and yet, in spite of its complexity, I'm gonna try and give a rough summary of the teaching Basi Legani by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the very first ever of his discourses after his becoming of the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1951. It speaks on the purpose of people, the world, and God's relationship with it according to Judaism. So, without any further ado, let's get straight into it. It begins with a quote from the book Shir Hashirim, or Song of Songs, a text by King Solomon, which acts as an allegory for the relationship between God and the Jewish people. It says, "I have come to my garden, my sister, my bride." A commentary on this explains that the specific wording of my garden, as opposed to the garden, contains the implication that it is God's place that he has been in before. More specifically, the innermost aspect of the Shekhinah, the divine presence. But that's a bit more of a complicated subject than for now. So, specifically, that God's presence was originally fully in the world, properly and revealed at a previous point. That was, at least until the sin of the tree of knowledge, and the things that came after, that then God withdrew himself from the world, concealing himself, and it took the merit of the patriarchs over generations, finally culminating in Moshe, the seventh of such figures, by Mount Sinai, to bring God fully back into the world, the same way he had initially been in from the beginning. The seventh, by the way, has a lot of significance in Judaism. It's a very important number in many areas and aspects. Hence, it was Moshe, the seventh, Avraham being the first, through their work, brought godliness back into the world. For a brief while, at least until the sin of the golden calf, which reset everything back into its problematic state. God withdrew and reconciled himself from the world, and that's how it's been for the past few thousand years. But for the temple, the first and second, where God was revealed to an extent. However, in regards to that, it also famously says, "They shall make me a sanctuary, and I shall dwell within them." The commentaries, of course, point out that within it is not said, rather it says within them, within every single person. Furthermore, God is fundamentally good. The world and the system of chain-like descent of godliness into the world, with us and our world being at the very bottom of this descent, as illustrated in Hasidic Kabbalah, clearly shows that, again, as God is good and would not create existence for a descent, it must be that the purpose of all creation and existence is our world, specifically in this lowest world, where, unlike every other world, God is actually concealed to such an extent that you can imagine you exist independent of a God. And yet, it was this world that God created everything for, and for God to have a dwelling place within, which is the whole purpose of existence, in bringing the coming of Mashiach and creating a dwelling place for God in our world by doing enough good. By doing good, you make the world a dwelling place for God, not just in the world, but as mentioned, within them, within every single person. By doing proper and right things, like giving charity to the poor, prayer, keeping Shabbos, kosher, tefillin, or of course, being good and kind to one another. This will bring God back down into this world in a revealed manner, higher than he was before. And this is particularly relevant today, as we live in and are a part of the seventh generation, similar to Moshe, who brought God down into this world as he was the seventh, so too it is our job to do the same. That is our job, essentially, to make the world a better place, a place for God to dwell within with the coming of Mashiach. And that's about it. Bit of a shorter video. Tomorrow, as of this video's posting, is the Hebrew date of the 10th of the month of Shvat, the date of the passing of the 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, the Friedricher Rebbe, and a year later, the acceptance of Rabbi Schneerson of becoming the next and 7th Lubavitcher Rebbe, during which he spent decades helping hundreds of thousands of individuals Jewish, and otherwise across his entire lifetime. So, it's an important day if you'd care to try to do something good extra in merit. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and have a great night.